Azimut has been, confirmed as one of the big operator, kind of bringing, accredited investor to the startup world. The Orbit, of course, a space tech company, raising 110 million in a growth round, led by Azimut Group. It's a huge round. I mean, for being at the beginning of the year, definitely something massive.
So all the reports and all the data points are, all aiming in the same direction regarding space. So the private economy has discovered space.
Basically hitting the end of January, we're already seeing like some movements. And I would say, again, we have some sort of archetypical structure in the different rounds where finally we have a first huge round, like just at the beginning, being it the Orbit. And then we have a few club deals with very interesting structure. And I'm gonna say it, but I think really, club deals is really something Italian, and it's really, working really well in Italy in some format or another. So it's really is a solid structure, and yeah, it's moving pretty fast. What is your take on club deal from the VC perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I wouldn't say that it's only an Italian phenomenon. I think we are not hearing about many club deals here in Italy because probably most of these type of deals are smaller tickets, so less than 10 million euros or dollars. And then every now and then you have something huge, such as this one regarding the Orbit. But in this case, you have an operator sitting in the middle, such as Azimut. They have a very specific expertise in reaching out to a lot of investors,
Yeah.
retail-like investors, and collect huge amount of money. But that's because who they are, right? So
Yeah.
a very big asset management company. I wouldn't be surprised if BlackRock or the big asset managers worldwide do something similar in the spaces, and we don't hear too much about them.
No, that's a great point. And I think you hit it right, which is Azimut has been, confirmed as one of the big operator, kind of bringing, accredited investor to the startup world. And this is a great example. So referring about the news, let's talk about the Orbit, of course, a space tech company, raising 110 million in a growth round, led by Azimut Group. So again, the idea is that here, basically, they pull together their big network of about 1,500 accredited investors. And let's not open the definition of accredited investor here, but it's interesting definitely to see what who is participating. And what is also interesting is that basically they've done it through the original vehicle that they used to first invest in the Orbit, which is it's an Azimut SPV, and it has basically a lot of advantages compared to Italian regulation, still being a regulated alternative fund structure. So we've seen in Italy a lot of people actually leveraging this kind of structure more than local, regulations and local legal structure. And it's been pretty successful. And plus, Azimut being also pretty much I think open to a lot of international investors, that makes sense for them. So this is a RIFE structure. So and it's a RS is a SCA RIFE and CCAV structure. So it has three different levels. And bottom line, without going to the technical detail, is that is quick to set up, is very clear in terms of management. There is some oversight from the viewpoint of the regulator, but it still behaves as a venture firm, I would say. So yeah, very interesting. What is your take on this?
No, I agree with you. The regulation is getting more and more mature in terms of offering tools for investors to raise capital and invest. It's probably worth mentioning that I think you didn't mention that the vehicle is not an Italian vehicle; is a Luxembourg-based vehicle. The legislation in Luxembourg is probably one of the most advanced in Europe regarding financial instruments and offering financial vehicles, investment vehicles, and so on and so forth. So it's not unusual for a European player to choose a Luxembourg type of company or vehicle. So
So yeah, and it's a huge round. I mean, for being at the beginning of the year, definitely something massive, and yeah, definitely interesting for scaling. And again, let's remind the listener that essentially the Orbit is working in the field of space logistic, and of course, and Nick, you can tell me more, but the space economy is expected to boom really also this year. So definitely a very good positioning for the Orbit, I would say.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you. So all the reports and all the data points are, all aiming in the same direction regarding space. So the private economy has discovered space economy. So there is
Yeah.
lots of push
Yeah.
in investing in building that ecosystem. But still, not everybody is staying in, right? So in parallel with the investment round announced by Azimut, Indaco, one of the very early investors in the Orbit, announced that they were exiting the investment.
Well, I guess that also kind of can be a good sign in a sense that because they're actually like monetizing and capitalizing, depending, you have fund dynamics involved here,
Yeah,
basically mentioning, sort of a VC fund structure and strategy. You have like the timing of the different investments. So I'm sure they did relatively well on this one, and
I
being
think so.
able to monetize now, it's great. There we go.
I think they did well. Yes, I agree with you. TT Venture, that was the original the TT Venture. It was the original investment vehicle. They invested in early 2010, probably 2011, 2012. So it
Wow.
was, yeah, 15 years ago. So it's about time to exit the investment.
Yeah.
I believe the multiple is solid. I would say.
I'm not gonna ask you if that's fund returning multiple or not. So let's move on.
I have no idea in this
No
case. I really
idea,
have no idea.
but definitely
It's
kudos to
solid. I
them.
have no
Yeah,
idea how big that fund was. So I
interesting,
don't know.
awesome. All right, let's talk about Brum. So another of the biggest round from last week is Brum, edtech startup, raised about 5 million early stage rounds from Italian Funders Fund. So I believe there are two elements here which are very interesting. Of course, the investor first. Italian Funders Fund confirms itself as one of the quickest, and they're deploying really quick and really targeted. So they're definitely doing like a great job on this in the Italian space. And that's my first point. The second one is the fact that Brum is a startup coming out from One Day Group, which is the author of some other known startup, among which We Rode, for example, or Scuola Zoo back in the days. So a very interesting model with great entrepreneurs that are launching like a very interesting companies that digitize a lot of different kind of elements of the Italian culture. So being it like traveling together in a more digitized way. But this one with the driver's license, and so basically what they're doing is they're digitizing basically the process of studying and earning a driver's license, and they're trying to do it as smoothly as possible. I felt it because in Italy it's always like a cumbersome project getting a driver license, and these guys are pulling everything together to make it as quick as possible. So it's always a good angle for that.
Yeah, I agree. Very interesting round indeed. So 5 million, all invested by Italian Founders Fund, I believe. So it's, as far as I know, it's one of the biggest round I heard for them investing in by themselves. So super interesting. As you said, it's an unusual setup because it's actually kind of a spin out from a group, not fully built from the garage type of startup. Also, it seems, but super interesting. It's probably also a bet. Let me make a joke. It's a bet against actually in favor of European regulation because autonomous driving is not gonna come anytime soon. So we will need driving licenses for quite some time in the future. So
Good point. All right. Let's end up with basically all the numbers about the Italian ecosystem in 2025 have been coming out, starting from yours, Nick. That was kind of the first one. Then Ernest Young published a few days later, and now Italian Tech Alliance with Growth Capital are basically issuing also some number, which are very interesting, by the way, because as you mentioned, they kind of compare and contrast with other European countries. So there are a few interesting elements, and I encourage people to look into that. So what is some of the first thing that came up, for you that was kind of surprising?
Yeah, I believe the data points that were the most interesting coming out of the report were the ones that I published in the newsletter. Of course, I encourage you. The report is much bigger than this, so please go and take a look at it if you're curious. You will find that the numbers in terms of absolute volumes and type of rounds. So the growth capital ones are very detailed. Directionally, they will be kind of go in the same direction of everybody else's. So the absolute number may be higher, lower, but it really depends on the methodology with which you collect data. But I guess the most interesting points from their report are as you mentioned, the comparisons between Italy and the other markets. And I found interesting the growth rate, which shouldn't surprise us. Italy has been the denominator for Italy was so low that in 5 years it was easy to become the highest growing country in Europe in terms of amount invested, but still not obvious. Okay, not given. And the other data point that hits me are the median and mean round sizes in the very early stages, Series A and Series Bs, right? So the numbers are quite lower than across the rest of Europe, which brought me to this quote. So follow me. If we had the same mean and averages that the rest of Europe, with the same amount of deals, wouldn't we be much higher without requiring many more startups in terms of number of deals, right? So we will be probably in line with Spain, if not above Spain.
I agree.
Okay, so that's an interesting point. We are
No,
still
it's
cheap.
excellent food for thought. No, for sure.
Mm.
All right, Nick. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. That's it for this week, and I will see you and all the listener next week then.
Ciao, Jack. Thank you very much. Ciao, everybody. See you in a week.